In fact, we have come a long way, and I personally have come a long way in understanding certain things. Let me recount a little episode from the past. In the past, I used to be interested in what you call invocation. Invocation of, I was searching. Invocation of the divine power. And I used to use certain books and which for this invocation, and had some powerful names of God, as they call them, that you would pronounce after I had anointed my candles and with special oils and all the like. And then I started the invocation. I remember one evening like that, I really regretted why I was doing it, because the atmosphere was changing and I was shivering and shaking. And it seems as if some forces were really making their presence felt. I was wondering how I was going to stop these forces, And one of the powerful names of God at that time, ignorance is strength. Is when you hear it in the invocation circles, you think that is anything, You see, during this invocation process, they will tell you to pronounce all these powerful names of God. And then if nothing happens, and then you will go to some more powerful ones. And then when you pronounce that one, no matter what happens, there must be an apparition. And they say, Lucifer himself will appear. My God, I was really shaken. I say, so all these fine words, all these nice prayers will end up with Lucifer before me. You see, I was really shaken. I said, but if this is all that religion entails, then it's terrible. And then one of the names I remember was Elohim. You invoke one of the powerful names of God is Elohim. And then my reading has turned up something interesting, that Elohim is, it has turned up what Elohim really is in this sect they called realism. Okay, let me read some excerpts of it. Realism is considered the largest UFO religion in the world. Scientology is generally categorized under the ancient astronaut belief set. In 2006, more than 60,000 people had been baptized. More recently, reports estimate church membership closer to 100,000, thanks in no small part to marketing. In the 1970s, it may have championed free love for all, but by the 2000s, boobs became a bank. Over time, it seemed a subtle shift, at least as far as cults go. But realism stands on feminism, sex positivity, and women's empowerment remains moderate at best. After Riel, who is the founder, was beamed up to a spaceship in 1973, he completed his first scripture, the book which tells the truth. And that's the book he wrote after this. He was beamed up into this spaceship. He wrote the book titled "The Book Which Tells the Truth." He claimed he was chosen as a conduit to translate messages from the aliens, otherwise known as the Elohim, humanoid beings from a faraway planet. Being 25,000 years more advanced in science and technology, the Elohim actually created human life in their laboratories and planted their specimens on earth. All of the great prophets, Jesus, Mohammed, and now Riel, were actually half Elohim. After male aliens impregnated chosen human women, or so the teachings went. You see, Duane, after reading this, it just concretizes what you have been saying about all these religions and teachings in creation. You see, and except one really expands one's awareness, you cannot come across this. You cannot discover what these systems really teach and what they entail, what you are praying to, what you are worshiping until now. In fact, I thought it was something higher at that time, or something divine, or as you say, holy, but just to discover now that these are all reptilian gods. See? So it's quite interesting.
Well, let me just interject a little, and that is, yes. And in the beginning here, it's interesting. Look at what you said and what you were doing. And this is what most people go after, and you see it especially in the evangelistic TV, people that do all these funny things and, do all this hype, this emotional nonsense to the masses, and always talking about the divine power. Well, it's interesting that realistically what you were looking for, the divine power, okay, see, this is where people get caught up thinking that, well, the divine power is the absolute reality, when actually it's the power aspect that people are geared to, and it's a part of ritualism, like all the things with the oils and, all the ceremony and ritualism that you see with the Vatican and whatever. They got their little pot, swinging pot, with with the steam or the smoke coming out. All these things, all these outfits and whatever. It's all ritualism. It all goes back to sacrifice. Yeah, it's all there, and also the names of gods. Well, this is again where people thinking that they're going to be cleansed and holy and whatever, but as they chant or say these names of supposedly these gods, well, they're calling on the demons, is what they're doing. They're really calling up demons. And this is where you were experiencing this yourself a little. And also the fellow Lucifer is very, very interesting. What I've learned over time is that Lucifer, the individual Lucifer, was a setup. He's not the bad guy like people think. He's not the bad guy. He was a setup like when the United States did 9/11, they blamed it on another country. You see, it was a setup. And so Lucifer was created as the fall guy, you might say. In other words, it wasn't because it was really the gods that did all this stuff, but they blamed it on Lucifer, so they simply diverted the attention to somebody else. This is what they do all the time. And so they get people chasing in circles around all this nonsense. Yeah, so, but you know, the first part that you brought up is very good, and this is something to relate to people because, again, and you see it, oh, I'm after, you know, I want to know what the divine power is. See, again, this is where the individual basically self-destructs because it's just like Joni, they're taking over the corporation. She was after the rod of power is what but she didn't know what it was. She was just after the idea. She thought Harold had it, but she don't really know what it is, and it's not what people think it is. Okay, so again, it's a thinking process. So, but she finally did come into her own where she took over the corporation. So she had her own power, you might say, and that's what she's wanted. And this is where the Risas and the higher initiates, they have taken that role on too, because it's about like grabbing the power is what it is. I've seen it on the real side, and this is where they're caught up in the initiations. It's kind of like in the business world where people go through the process of, you know, trying to get to the so-called top, you see, when there really isn't any of that. It's all illusion. And so in the meantime, yes, the world is still trying to figure out itself with all this stuff that it's come through for lifetimes, and now here comes the culmination of everything, and etc. And what we're presenting to the world is real, and the so-called idea of truth. When people say truth, or this is the truth, or that's the truth, they're really talking about personal truth, personal ideas in creation. That's as far as it goes. What truth is greater than another truth, or whatever? What are these truths? I don't use those ideas because they're fallacies, is what they are. Truth, again, it's personal truth. It's like whatever you believe for yourself, hey, that's what it is for you. Whatsoever man believeth, so be it. And Paul said it too, and that is, there's no truth greater than a lie. If a lie is what you wish to believe. In other words, truth and a lie is all the same thing. You see, there's only the isness, life is, and that's everything, but you must see it and recognize it. So in the meantime, yes, we are going through the process continually, and as you know, I've seen you as you've come through all this, and you're gradually understanding, you get the understanding gradually, you eventually start to little by little recognize this isness, you see. And so it's really cool how it is. It really clears everything. It really does. And it's very, very simple, but yet it's everything. And yes, we still have the literal side. And this is where we take the literal side now, instead of chasing these old ideas that have been established. And it's just like most people chase money, okay, because somebody created it. And they created money not as a benefit. No, it's not a benefit at all. We really don't need it. But for something to be controlled by. That's why it was created, everything like that. But eventually you wake up also to where while you're in creation, now you can create things that do provide a benefit and a real reference to the true reality, instead of just spinning around in circles like most people who chase money. Oh yeah, they're going to have money for a while and whatever, but eventually it all goes nowhere, because the end result is you'll have nothing anyhow, because you haven't recognized the isness. That's what truly can support you if you stand real with it, if you learn to stand real with it. So yes, I get it. And again, it really does sound cool, doesn't it? You know, just understanding the power of God. Well, you do want to understand that, because it's not what people think it is, but they do chase it, thinking that, oh, once I have that, I've got everything. And this is where people proclaim themselves, well, I'm a creator, I'm this or that, and I'm like the gods. Well, okay, have fun with that. And whatever else goes with it. Yes, Charles. So yes, thank you for bringing that up. It gives everybody a little bit clearer picture of what it really is. Go ahead.
Yeah, Duane, I really wish, I wished the the Muslims and others could attend these Skype meetings, but then they think that we're doing nonsense. So they think. In fact, what you say about these invocations and all that, the Quran is an invocational song. The whole of it, the Quran, all can be chanted. Yes, and what they do is just invoking the demons. You see, Salman Rushdie is under the death sentence from the Muslim world for writing the satanic verses, because he exposed what actually they are worshiping, which is these demons you are talking about, in these reptilian demons, and that is why he's been protected by the British government for so many years, for decades now, and he cannot leave Britain because he exposed what Mohammedanism is all about, And to go back to what I was doing, it's actually said in that book it's called the Lesser Key of Solomon, of the so-called King Solomon, who, if you are only glued to the Bible, you say, oh, this was a very holy man. He spoke with God and all that. And in the final, when your invocation is complete and successful, and then Satan will appear with all his legion of angels, of dark angels, and then fulfill your demand. Wow, it was so scary, So I was looking for something pure. So when I came across this, I said, but how can my search lead only to this kind of dark forces? So is there nothing, to use your words, holy here, divine? I was looking for purity, and then I'll end up invoking dark forces. Satan with his legion of angels will appear. So I said, what? Why should it be so? And you see, things are becoming very clear now upon joining the new presentation, to know exactly what these systems are really doing. And this is concretized with my knowledge has been concretized with what you're saying now. I did not know at that time. I was just bumbling about, looking for something. I did not know how it would turn up, moving from one thing to the other, until I finally stumbled on the Ekanka at the time, which later again became corrupted, and then I'm here now. So my journey is really bumpy. Yeah.
Hello, Charles. Can you hear?
Hello.
Yes.
That's Lawrence, Charles. Yes.
Oh, Lawrence. Yes.
Yes, Mr. Lawrence. Real fast, let me say, Lawrence, that hold on a second, Lawrence. Real fast here, Charles. You have to understand what's going on here more so all the time. And that is, most people are in denial when confronted with it, but we're not here to confront people. We're here to just present, and that is that because of how things have been produced here in creation, most people want to be influenced. That's how the influence exists, because people want to be influenced. They want to be controlled. They really do. It seems to be easier for them to be in that situation. This is where most people, that's why there's only very few of us here, because most people do not want to take the risk and do not want to step up and wake up. They really don't. They'd rather be controlled. And this is just how it is. This is what we're dealing with in this world. So we're not here to make people see. We're only here to present something. So this is where very few really come through this, because most people want to be controlled. It's just an absolute here to them, and that is that to continually be restricted, confined, tap-lined, controlled. This is like, and then at the same time, beg for mercy, beg for freedom, chase freedom, etc., and at the same time do both of these things. So what you're seeing here is that, yeah, you have the dark angels, and you have the light angels, and they're all the same thing. They play both sides, just like the governments. They appear to be beneficial to the people, but realistically their agenda is to control the masses. And so the God idea is the same thing. People, like you were looking to, something holy or whatever. There goes Charles. I'll continue, and then you go ahead and speak, Lawrence. But yeah, it's all the same play, and you're waking up to this, and you're seeing it. So what else is there? There's the isness life, is the all aliveness. So that's the next step. That's why we're here.